Isn't it refreshing when free really means free? Whether you're a WagerTalk customer, a Sports Memo customer, a fan of our videos, or even if you're not a customer at all, everyone can get this week's edition of Gold Sheet for free. Enjoy write-ups and stat logs on every college football game this week to see the new and improved Gold Sheet layout for this season. To download, log into Gold Sheet's website using username free@goldsheet.com and the password free. No coupon, phone number, or email address is required. It's that simple. Come see why Gold Sheet has been this country's premier football betting newsletter for over 6 decades.
Welcome, everybody, to WagerTalk Today. I'm Lawrence Presman. He's Teddy Covers. This is the best daily sports betting show on the planet. Dan, we need to have that logo, that slogan right up across us for tomorrow. Teddy Covers, great show, dude. It is college football start to finish. Adam Trigger joining us right off the top. UTEP, Oak State, LSU, Florida State. Veno coming on. Houston game, Memphis, Mississippi State, and a Kelly appearance every Thursday moving forward. She's going to look at the West Virginia-Pittsburgh game, goes tonight, and Cincinnati versus Arkansas. My brother, how did your 5% play go? I actually don't know.
It did not go well, but it comes with a story, unfortunately. So, you know how it is, Prez. You try when football season's coming, you try to get all your stuff done over the summer. You make sure your taxes get done. You go get new glasses over the summer. You go get your checkup, and you go to the dentist. Well, somehow or other, the dentist appointment got twitched, got canceled. Got to get it done before football season. I go in yesterday, right? No big deal. Trying to get it all done before football starts, going in regular checkup, get some x-rays. So I sit down in the chair. I get my x-rays. They say, okay, get up and go to go see the dentist now. And I stand up, and they forgot to move the x-ray machine. I mean, I did a straight smack right into the top of it, dude. Boom, right on the head. My head starts spinning. My eyes start spinning. I got tears coming out. I sink back into the chair. And I'm concussed now for the second time this year, randomly. Because obviously it happened, you remember, back this spring when I got hit by an errant fastball from my son as I was looking at my phone. So what do? You know, I'm like some old guy having a medical emergency. I'm like, I mean, really, it wasn't pretty in there for about 20 minutes. So Kara comes, picks me up, takes me home. I sit in the dark. And, of course, I have a big ticket play going last night, a 5%er. So I'm laying in the dark watching the game, and what happens? Ryan gives up a grand slam. I'm down 5-0 early. Game, oh, geez, it's going to be like this, huh? And then Minnesota starts chipping away, and it's 6-5 in the 8th, but the runner gets thrown out at 3rd. And it's still 6-5 in the 9th, and there's 2 on, nobody out. And you get a weak pop fly and a double play to end the game. So it goes, man. Lost a 5%er, got concussed, but it's a new day today. Still 17-4, the last 21 5% plays, 42-16, the last 58. So unfortunately, this one went down, but not the only one we're going to have in the month of September. Prez?
How you feeling now, dude?
I feel okay. You know, I still got a nice lump on my head. But there's not much I'm going to do about it. I could function, you know, I wasn't completely, it wasn't the last time when I got concussed. I mean, I was in bed for like 2 days. I couldn't function at all. This time I was definitely light sensitive. I was definitely sound sensitive, but I could, you know, I sat down last night, did my work. It is what it is.
So let me get this right. You don't play any sports,
right,
and you've been concussed numerous times.
Twice this year. Yes.
What are you doing? How?
Dude, like I said, I'm at the dentist, all right? I've been, you know, you've done this 1,000 times. They take the x-rays, they move the x-ray machine out of the way, you stand up, you go into the other room. But the woman forgot to move the x-ray machine out of the way, told me to stand up. I didn't have my glasses on yet. It went boom. I don't know. That's random.
That's
random.
Now, listen, I'm just Canadian here, a lowly Canadian guy. That sounds like at least $200 million punitive damage lawsuit in your country.
So I texted my lawyer just to see, you know, he's my buddy. And I'm like, hey, I just got to, I smacked my head at the, he's like, so if you lose an opportunity because of it, you can get something, and if you miss extended time at work, you can get something, and if you have medical bills, you can get something, and I have none of the three. And nuisance lawsuits are not my idea of fun. So
we can
it's suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah. We can fix that right now. Joe Ranieri, Teddy is stumbling and mumbling. I don't feel like he's doing well. Can we please remove him from the show for the next month? There you go. No Teddy. Now he can sue. Adam Trigger! Dude, we got a jam-packed show today. You're going to be able to keep it short, or are we going to go on and on and on and on and on and on and on until tomorrow?
You got to hold up. You have to hold up the stopwatch. That's what Kelly does when she wants me to cut it short. She does the Dame Lillard thing, basically. So, like off camera. Just wrap it up.
Nice to have you, my friend. College football right in front of us. I mean, look, we've already seen a bunch of games in week 0, but man, starting today, we got 5 days of college football ahead of us. Dude, you want to talk Central Michigan and Oklahoma State? Oak State minus 21.5, a total of 57.5 in this game. Man, what do we do here? How are we? These teams haven't played each other in 5-6 years. What are we doing in this game?
Well, Prez, first of all, we're gonna go across the state to Norman, Oklahoma, and talk the other Oklahoma, which is Oklahoma and UTEP. Yeah, that's okay because it's all good. I want to make sure, Prez, that the viewers get client plays.
I'm the one,
and this is one of my client plays. No, that's okay. This is one of my client plays. I want to make sure that we got one out on the show. So I am on UTEP plus the big number here. I locked it in at 31.5. It's probably 31. I would be surprised if this went off closer to 30 come kickoff time. And listen, if you're on my service or you follow my plays, you know I lost with UTEP last week, completely no-showed in the second half of that game against North Texas. But listen, that UTEP last week, 2 for 6 on fourth downs. That means they gave the ball away 4 times on fourth down. And it's like you're just not going to beat a quality team like North Texas by doing that. Not to mention, they also had a number of scenarios in the first half where they should have scored a touchdown and settled for a field goal. They still put up 400 yards of total offense. And my biggest concern with UTEP was the loss of Cowing. He's now at Arizona. But Gavin Hardison moved the ball around nicely. He threw for about 300 yards. And the offense looked pretty good. UTEP has most of their guys back on defense. Their front four is very experienced. They have a nice pass rush. So I look at the number here and say, you know what? If UTEP hadn't no-showed in the second half of that game, or maybe even beat North Texas last week, I would have made this number more like 27 or 28. So the fact that we're getting 31 points in a game that I think UTEP can be competitive in is pretty good value. Listen, Oklahoma, they'll probably be decent. Venables should be good there and get them moving in the right direction, but it's his first game and there's still some moving parts. Guys, I see Oklahoma giving up a couple scores here, and I think UTEP's gonna be better than people expect. And I don't think the 31-13 final score last week in a game that UTEP gained 400 yards is reflective of what this team really is. So I'm going to take the big number here, guys, and it's a 4% play for me. I'm on the UTEP Miners plus 31.5.
So, Adam, let me start with this, because conceptually, I agree with you 1,000%. I love the concept of taking extra value with teams after they played a game in which the final score was not indicative of what actually played out on the field. And UTEP was every bit as good as their opponent last week, but they didn't convert and weren't able to execute on those key inflection plays. But you said something that I just want to make sure that I'm going to give you a chance to either expand on it or retract it, because you said UTEP can be competitive with Oklahoma. And when I see games like this with 4 touchdown spreads, I rarely get involved with the underdog because I don't think the underdog can be competitive with the favorite. And when the underdog covers these games, it's more often than not the favorite looking past them as opposed to playing equal with them on the field. So Talk to me about that concept. You really think UTEP's going to pound in the trenches with Oklahoma and punch in touchdowns in the red zone? Or, yeah.
Well, first of all, Teddy, I just want to say I love your UTEP colors on right now. I didn't know you were, wearing that, getting ready for this play, but that's great. Listen, Dana Demmel spent a decade at Kansas State, and he was part of some really good game plans against Oklahoma. So, when I say competitive, Teddy, I more or less mean not get completely run off the field, right? Because we're talking about a 30-point margin here. So the way I look at it is Oklahoma is if they come out firing on all cylinders right from the first play of the game offensively, and they put up 56 points, I'm probably going to lose this bet. But I see some value in the UTEP defense, which didn't play their best game last week. And if you look at what they did last year, went to a bowl game, this defense, in my opinion, is capable of a better effort than what they showed last week. And now they have a week to sort of go back into normal practice and make some adjustments on what went wrong. So I'm banking on the UTEP defense and all their seniors and a solid front four with a good pass rush, at least being able to hold Oklahoma in the 40s. And if I can get 20 out of UTEP, I should cover this game. So the way my math here shows this I would say this is a 24 to 28 point game when it's all said and done. And wouldn't be surprised if UTEP was even more competitive than that. So yeah, I'll take the 31 points all day here.
Adam Trigger joining us, everyone. Exclusive handicapper at WagerTalk.com. And yeah, Ad, I messed that up, dude. Don't worry. I got the right game here. LSU taking on Florida State. -3 for the home team. 51.5 is the total. How do we bet this one, my friend?
So, guys, I'm actually surprised that there's not as much LSU love out there as I thought there was going to be when Brian Kelly got this job. I just assumed that they hire Brian Kelly and it was just going to be so pro LSU that I'd want to go against this team. And that really, as far as I can tell, really hasn't been the case. I would almost say LSU is flying a tad under the radar right now, especially in this game where it seems like people are pretty high on Florida State. And, I look at the LSU. First of all, I've never been a Notre Dame guy or really a Brian Kelly guy, but I'll acknowledge the fact that he got the most out of his talent at Notre Dame more often than not. And I think he's going to have more talent at LSU than he did at Notre Dame. And I actually think he's got quite a bit of solid talent coming back from Coach O. And I really like Jaden Daniels, who transfers in to be the quarterback on an LSU offense that's just loaded with weapons. Keyshawn Boutte is probably, he's got to be one of the top sort of 5 to 10 receivers in the entire country at this point. And for me, guys, Florida State, this team started 0-4 last year. They had a loss to Jacksonville State at home. I get that they battled toward the end of the season, but I need to see more from Florida State before I trust them in what essentially is kind of a road game at the Superdome. The ACC was just horrible last season, and I don't know. I don't think Florida State is there yet, and I think the number's a little short. So I like LSU to win this game. I haven't bet this yet. I'm not sure that I want to, lay a field goal. But, in the standalone game on Sunday, if I need something to bet, I'm certainly looking toward the Tigers.
So WagerTalk TV, on WagerTalk TV yesterday, we were shooting videos with Megan Payton, who is Sean Payton's daughter. And we talked about this game, Florida State LSU. And I basically made a lot of the points that you just made now, making a case for LSU. I do want to ask you about the Florida State side here for just a minute. And of course, those videos, standalone videos, you can see them on WagerTalk TV. Anytime you get a chance to hang out with Sean Payton's kid, it's going to be fun. And they were, me and Ralph Michaels shooting those videos yesterday. But when it comes to Florida State, okay, Mike Norvell now in his 3rd season on the job. When you look at the roster from where it was at the end of last season to where it is now, look, they've upgraded. The transfer portal that Florida State did really well. Ton of returning talent. In theory, this is supposed to be the season where they're able to take the jump from mediocrity. They haven't even been mediocre. They've been a bad team for the last 4 years or so, to being respectable and or good. How much of the offseason improvement from Florida State do you expect to see week one? Or is that one of those deals where you're like, I want to see it before I believe it?
Yeah, well, in this case, Teddy, if I really bought into Mike Norvell as a coach, then I might be more, apt to come out and say, okay, yeah, they've went out and got guys, and they should be significantly better than they are last year. Listen, I have written down right in my notes 2 teams that should take a step forward this year, but I think LSU takes the bigger step, and that's just me sort of trusting Brian Kelly and his ability. Like, I really think he's going to have better players in LSU than he ever really did in Notre Dame. That's one thing about Brian Kelly. I always felt like he just got the most out of guys at Notre Dame. You look at a lot of those rosters of teams at Notre Dame that made really kind of deep runs. They didn't have the raw talent that his team at LSU will. At least not all of them. So to me, I just think LSU is the more dynamic team. We'll see if Norvell can actually coach. I don't know that I buy that really at this point. So, yeah, if I was higher on Norvell, I would say, yeah, he would take this team and have them ready to go right away. But I'll need to see it before I believe it with Florida State. And I'm willing to just take a shot on Brian Kelly right away because I think he's the better coach and I think he's got more talent. So, like I said, I haven't bet this one yet personally, but it is one of the bigger games of the weekend, and I am at least considering LSU here.
And, of course, if you want to talk about Brian Kelly and his early track records, go look at what he did year 1 and year 2 at Central Michigan. Go look at what he did year 1 and year 2 at Cincinnati. Brian Kelly's teams get better fast when he arrives. Lawrence?
Adam Trigger, what do you got to promote, bro?
I have a bunch of college football up for the weekend, a 2-pack for Saturday. I have a 4%er that goes tonight. And then, just the usual. Baseball's been great. Couple losses the last couple days, but it's been a great baseball season. I'll have baseball all weekend. And we have the NFL starting next week. I went 5-3 in the preseason. I think 57.4% net gain in football for me last year. Hope to top it this year. So head over to my page. I've got a bunch of stuff up.
Awesome stuff, Adam Trigger. Guys, Teddy, a lot of the guys in the chat room like LSU as well. One of them's going to bet at Andrew on the money line at -150. We did not do a deep dive into that. We did look at the -2s and below. They are better to bet on the money line. I don't have an answer on whether the -3s are. What's your gut? I say take the points, man. Don't do it on a money line bet.
I'm with you on that. I think your the chances of the game winning by exactly 1 or 2 points versus what you have to lay on the money line, I think the odds go towards lay the field goal, in my opinion.
Yeah,
but bettors are allowed to make their own decisions.
Guys who logged in today expecting Dave Koken, don't you worry. Dave Koken's on at the end of the show. Just looks a lot like Kelly Stewart, so stay with us. And then Kelly Stewart will be on tomorrow, but she will look a lot like Dave Koken. Anyway, we're going to take a break. We'll be right back with Teddy's Big Game Breakdown, Rob Veno, and, of course, Kelly Stewart.
Isn't it refreshing when free really means free? Whether you're a WagerTalk customer, a Sports Memo customer, a fan of our videos, or even if you're not a customer at all, everyone can get this week's edition of Gold Sheet for free. Enjoy write-ups and stat logs on every college football game this week to see the new and improved Gold Sheet layout for this season. To download, log into Gold Sheet's website using username free@goldsheet.com and the password free. No coupon, phone number, or email address is required. It's that simple. Come see why Gold Sheet has been this country's premier football betting newsletter for over 6 decades.
It is time for today's big game breakdown. Let's talk some Saturday college football. I thought this was an interesting matchup to consider. That's North Carolina and Appalachian State. Right now, looking at the WagerTalk live odds screen, I'm seeing the Tar Heels, let's call it -1, -1.5. Total sitting at 56 on the road at Kid Brewer Stadium in the latest version of, oh, it's the biggest game in blank stadium history. We see it all the time. You know, BG ends up favored against Wisconsin. Biggest game in Bowling Green history. Miami, Florida ends up Toledo. Biggest game in Toledo history. App State too. And this, once again, is the biggest game for the home field. They had one like this in 2016 when Miami became the first school from a Power 5 conference to visit them. They lost that game 45-10. Now, they lost at Miami again last year. They did cover, but not against this point spread they wouldn't have covered. Worth noting there. There's a lot of issues with North Carolina, no question. A team that underachieved mightily last year, a team that lost an NFL quarterback in Sam Powell. But I think North Carolina has a defense this year. Certainly respect Gene Chizik, back as DC, or a new DC for the Tar Heels. And Drake May, the quarterback for North Carolina. This guy's a 5-star recruit. He was recruited. He's every bit, in theory, as good as Howell. In fact, his high school recruit numbers were better than Howell's. I think North Carolina is going to be just fine. When it comes to App State, there are questions. They lost their top 4 receivers from last year. Yeah, they bring back Chase Bryce, but who's he going to throw to? Questions about their playmakers. Big questions on the defensive line. Big questions in the secondary. And the kicker for me is the kickers. Special teams week 1. You're going to see, half a dozen point spreads this weekend decided by a special teams miscue, a special teams big play, one or the other. You see that a lot in week 1, and you see a lot of screw-ups in week 1 where special teams can either win a bet for you or lose a bet for you. Well, App State graduated everybody from their special teams. Kicker, punter, long snapper, return men. I think North Carolina has the edge. That may well play out. And in a game where you're just asking them basically to pick the winner, I think the Tar Heels get the job done. Give me North Carolina minus the 1 at App State. There's your big game breakdown. Back to you, Mr. Prez.
Teddy covers awesome stuff. College football start to finish today. Robert Veno joining us next. Kelly after that. Rob, I haven't seen you since the meet and greet, bro. It was amazing hanging out with you. I feel like you stole the show, man. We were all out for dinner, like 30 of us, and then you walk in and it was just all hell broke loose, man. Hugs and kisses. Somebody spooned you. I think it was Teddy. Welcome back to the show, dude. Loved hanging out.
Yeah, I haven't been on with you guys since we were out there and since we've arrived back home. So just a quick thanks to you and the WagerTalk staff for putting that together, Johnny Detroit. I'll say this, Prez. I responded to a text that you had sent me, and I said the same to Johnny that, to assemble, forget about the individual skill sets, handicapper, production guy, whatever we do here at WagerTalk, to assemble the group of people, good people that you guys have put together here. It was amazing to meet everybody out there. Vivian, she was fantastic, Prez. Love talking to her. And talk about spooning real quick. I have a set of action photos featuring you and Kyle Anthony at the craps table, which, show your affection for each other. But it was really a great time. Had a lot of fun, young and old. Guy like me wonders if the young guys will accept me. The young guys were great. So I had a great time. Can't wait for the next one.
Rob, I don't know if Kyle Anthony showed any affection towards me, but yes, I did chase him in a circle around the craps table for about 25 minutes until I was able to find him and give him a hug. Okay, dude. And I love Kyle. He texted some good stuff too, spoke highly about Vivian. All of you guys talking highly about Vivian. I was the only one that took her back to the room. I know the truth, man. Houston. -4 against UTSA. We have a total play of 61.5, 62. Robert, regale us with your thoughts on this game.
All right, so I'll buck the line move here, Prez. We see UTSA money, 6 down to 4. But I don't necessarily agree with it. I didn't really have to dig far into the handicap on this one. What I did was focused in on the 2 Western Kentucky matchups that UTSA had last year. And they were brutal for that Texas San Antonio defense. It's a defense that overall, statistically, when you look at it, you would say, wow, they were really, really good. but you go through the group of opponents that they played, which was a whole batch of mediocre offenses and offenses that had down. But let's just focus in on Western Kentucky. Regular season meeting, UTSA wins the game 52-46. However, they allow 670 total yards, 7.5 per play, 147 on the ground, 523 through the air. And how about 4 touchdowns from outside the red zone? They were bombarded, but Western Kentucky was defenseless, so UTSA was able to outscore them. So then they meet again in the championship game for Conference USA, and you figure, okay, Jeff Traylor and company, they'll make some adjustments. They'll slow Western Kentucky down. Didn't happen. UTSA wins again, 49-41, but one more time, 586 yards allowed, 7.7 per play this time, 577 through the air. Just couldn't handle that type of up-tempo, aerial-style offense, and it's what they're going to face here in Houston with Clayton Tune, Tank Dell, and company. So I don't see them performing real well in this game as far as the defense is concerned. And now, can they outscore Houston the way they outscored Western Kentucky? Probably not. Houston's a team that puts on a ton of pass pressure, 44 sacks last year. Most of that defensive line is back this year, so I would expect Houston to be disruptive in the backfield here. Frank Harris, a really good starting quarterback for UTSA, kind of similar to Levi Lewis at UL Lafayette the last few years. But again, Houston's defense, they only allowed 3.4 yards a rush. UTSA likes to run the football first. They held Memphis, SMU, and Auburn, and Texas Tech. Pretty high-powered offenses, all to under 360 total yards. So there's a discrepancy here, guys, a real discrepancy when you match up offenses versus defenses. Thoroughly favors Houston. I get the idea that this game is in the Alamo Dome. It's opening day. But even Roadrunner head coach Jeff Traylor had to admit that Houston is arguably the best opponent his team has faced during their tenure. I'm going to say one more thing here real quick. You know, last year, because of COVID, you got to get a lot of guys back. Guys got extra years. For Texas San Antonio, the difference between returning Letterman and lost Letterman between last year and this year equates to a -32. They had a bunch of guys back last year, didn't lose hardly anybody. This year, it's not the same. They lost guys this year. I don't think it's the same team. I think Houston has their sights set on the New Year's Day bowl bid. So give me Houston -4 here. Just don't agree with the line move. I think they'll win rather easily.
Teddy?
Let's stay focused on college football. Talk about Memphis and Mississippi State. The Memphis program, how far has it fallen, Rob? You know, it wasn't long ago we were talking about Memphis as one of the mid-major elites. Is that going to be the case in 2022, or is Mississippi State going to run this team off the field?
Yeah, it's been downhill, Teddy. At least the arrow's gone down since Ryan Silverfield took over. Remember, he was the OL coach here, got promoted to head coach, and it just hasn't been the same. I played Mississippi State first half in this contest. They're going to lay 9.5, and maybe it's me just being irritated by the fact that I had Mississippi State last year -3, and we saw a 95-yard punt return that was the difference maker in that game by Calvin Austin that should have never happened. A ball that was punted by Mississippi State, a ball that was downed on the 5-yard line, a ball that was ruled down by the official right there, threw his little black flag and waved his arms in the air. Austin hops in, picks it up, goes 95 yards. It becomes the difference maker. Otherwise, MSU would have covered. This game's been circled by the Bulldogs. And to your point about Memphis not necessarily being what they were before Ryan Silverfield took over, I think this is going to be the best team Mike Leach has had at Mississippi State. If I go back to last year's game real quick, Teddy, Mississippi State owns a 468 to 286 total yard advantage. They throw for 419 yards in that game, complete 75% of their passes. They win total plays 83 to 53. They win time of possession by over 21 minutes. So the game was thoroughly dominated by Mississippi State last year. Memphis got 3 touchdowns in a row out of Calvin Austin, who doesn't play for Memphis anymore, and somehow, some way walked away with a victory in that one. 17 starters back for MSU. The systems are both pretty well in place now. You have to figure that Mississippi State will be at their best in the air raid this year. They'll be the best in their 3-3-5 defense this year. I'm going to throw in this. Since Ryan Silverfield has taken over as head coach for Memphis, they're 0-8 against the spread away from home. They're 0-3 as a road dog. In those games as a road dog, they've underperformed against the line by 7, 8.5, and 3. They've lost all 3 games by double digits, but they weren't even close to covering the line in any of those. I don't know that they'll be close here. Again, without Calvin Austin, their tight end Sean Dykes, the offense suffers a little bit. Those were their top 2 guys to go to. I think Mississippi State cowbells are going to be ready, guys. I would take them. I think they come out firing because they do have a little bit of revenge to exact with this team. I'll take a -9.5 first half. Wouldn't argue anybody playing them full game, but I am a little bit afraid of Memphis's backdoor coverability. So give me Mississippi State -9.5 first half.
Robert, in 30 seconds or less, what do you have to promote?
Let's promote tonight's Major League Baseball card, up and available right now, WagerTalk.com. And let's promote a 4% best bet up and available for tomorrow night's action already. So you can get in, get the best of the line right now. Once again, up and available, WagerTalk.com.
Awesome stuff. Guys, if you like this show, if you want to hear a daily presidential address, we need to get to 100 likes. We have close to 400 people watching, only 63 likes. I don't know, man. That just doesn't feel good enough to me, Teddy. But one thing we know, this person gets us the likes. Kelly Stewart. Now that Teddy and I are done watching you adjust your top for the last 20 minutes, which I assure you all our listeners are upset they didn't get to see. Thanks for that. I mean, no wonder I got the wrong game in Adam Trigger's first segment, Teddy. Okay, HR, Prez is being completely irresponsible. And Kelly, how are you? Kelly, we need volume, Kelly. Volume, Kelly. I mean, listen.
No.
You're leaving a wide open hole for me to talk about females on mute, but I would likely get in trouble. Teddy, I don't know. Kelly is going to have to make another 700 adjustments. Dude, let's talk about Kelly's first game. WVU at Pitt. It goes tonight. Kelly, brother, Teddy, we will get Kelly back on, but do you have any initial thoughts on this football game?
I do. I have a client play for that game. You can get that play right now over at WagerTalk and or sportsmemo.com. And I was fascinated to see what Kelly was going to say about it so I could go back and forth there if she liked the other side or something like that. So hopefully we'll get around soon. But that's the beauty of live TV is sometimes you have issues.
You know,
Kelly.
Yeah. You know, I lied to get our producer, Dan, a raise, and boy, am I glad that our CEO, Rick, said no, absolutely not. We're not paying this man $1 more. Can you see what he just did to me live on air? How embarrassing.
Really? It was Dan's fault, Kelly.
No, of course not. I had to refresh my freaking browser. What else is new? I had it open because I was listening to the rest of the show. It's just easier to blame somebody else.
So you've had internet issues, top issues,
I have
microphone issues. Okay, well, listen, we love having you on the show. You're going to be on every Thursday during football season. We have a game going tonight. Pittsburgh -7.5 versus West Virginia. A total of 51.5 on tap in this game. Kelly, how should we bet this?
You know, this is a really interesting line move here, Prez, because I thought we were going to see the money go my way, but instead it's ticked up to Pittsburgh -7.5. And I don't know if they think Kenny Pickett is going to run out of that tunnel, but in the backyard brawl, these two teams hate each other. And I'm not going to sit here and say that Neil Brown is some like exponentially great coach, but I liked what he did in the Sun Belt, and I like the culture that he's trying to get going there in Morgantown. I think this is going to be a knockout, drag-out type game. We'll see what JT Daniels is made of, but you want to give me over a touchdown with this really scrappy West Virginia defense. Coach Brown, 14-7-2 against the spread. as a road dog. I really think that they could keep that close. And by the way, that stat is from our good friend Mark Lawrence, who I finally got to meet at the meet and greet.
Yeah, Mark's the nicest guy in the world. Rob Veno. I mean, like, Mark Lawrence and Rob Veno are, like, in a sense, the two nicest guys in the world. So I was like worried I'm not the young guys aren't gonna like me. Shut up, Rob. Everybody likes you.
Veno's that nice. Did you see the picture that he tweeted of Tony Mejia? A nice guy wouldn't do that.
Rob Veno is every bit as nice as he seems on air, if not nicer. Let me ask you about Pitt, West Virginia, because it's one of these scenarios in which the biggest question is how much is Pitt drop off? You know, you lose Addison to the transfer portal, you lose Pickett to the NFL, you lose a fair bit of talent on the defense side of the football, but a lot of the key pieces for Pitt are still in place, including the offensive line. Does that worry you that Pitt may be every bit as good as they were last year, despite the losses? That's certainly been a program that has improved in the Narduzzi era.
So you brought up Narduzzi, so I'm going to play off that. Do you remember me doing the Kelly and Murray show?
Yes.
Do you remember the saying, kicking is for losers?
Yes.
Pat Narduzzi is the reason why that saying came to be. At the end of the day, Pat Narduzzi loves to kick field goals when he doesn't have superstar quarterbacks and wide receivers that are now either in the NFL or transferred to another school. I know that he's going to make some bonehead mistake because it's in his DNA. For whatever reason, Pat Narduzzi will kick a field goal tonight that will be under 10 yards. And frankly, we can argue the math behind it. Yes, no. I think it's a dumb move, and that's not how you win football games. I even went so far as to sprinkle a little bit on this Mountaineers money line. Is that a stretch? Sure. I definitely have some question marks in the secondary for West Virginia, but that front seven is absolutely solid, and I think that they can actually slow down this Panthers passing game. We'll see how it comes to be played out. It seems like West Virginia is kind of a trendy pick today on Twitter, but I'm not going to let that step in my way. I do think this Panthers team may squeak out a win, but 7.5 points is just too much for this backyard brawl.
Kelly Stewart joining us, everyone. Kel, before we get into the next game, tell us what's on tap for you during the football season. Where will people be able to hear you? What will you be doing?
Oh my God, I have really overcommitted myself. And I said that to Johnny Detroit last night, and he goes, oh, please. I said, listen, let me break down my schedule. Yesterday, we did Bet on It for 4 hours. Then I did the Hustle Pod. Today, I've got WagerTalk Today. I've got game videos with Dave Koken and Adam Trigger. I've got every game on the board with Drew Martin Bets. I've got some radio spots in Kansas because big news here in 22 minutes. The state of Kansas goes live for sports betting, my home state. I'm so excited that I even jumped the gun and tweeted the graphic this morning and then got 18 phone calls from my guys over at the Barstool Sportsbook going, wait, we're not live until 1 p.m. Eastern. That was kind of my fault. Still doing money shots with Megan Making Money. Mondays, Thursdays, and Fridays with them. Still going to have my 3-team parlay every single Friday, doing some stuff with Pam Maldonado on Fridays as well. I am absolutely loaded, and I'm so excited football season's back. This is what I live for. This is so good for my soul.
Kelly Stewart, everyone. And C. James wanted to know if I'd done ayahuasca yet.
Oh.
No, we will be doing it in the summer. Next summer.
Where are you going to go, Prez? Costa Rica?
I think maybe, Costa Rica maybe because my brother's a clinic there. I am thinking Peru. I mean, if you're going to do it, like, why not do it, right? Do it the proper way.
I would agree with you. I have spoken out against ayahuasca. All of those demons that I've spent all these years burying need to stay there, but I'm all for everybody else doing it. It sounds like a really great, healing process.
Okay, well, Kel, you and I have so many similar beliefs that I'm happy you spoke out against ayahuasca.
Prez. We did not text each other. We match. We didn't even text each other.
Yeah, and Teddy's wearing an orange shirt.
Oh my gosh, he is underneath his blazer. Yeah,
UTEP and the WagerTalk colors is how I'd like to refer to it. Cincinnati on the road. They're playing Arkansas -6.5. 52 is the total. 5 minutes left in the show. 3 of them are yours. How are we betting this game?
Prez, I love the Cincinnati team, and it's no disrespect to what Sam Pittman has done in Arkansas. Yes, he has picked up some of the pieces, but while they were impressive last year, not sure that they're back just yet. KJ Jefferson, absolutely a stud. And I think the Bearcats defense can actually somewhat contain him, right? Now, I know that their defense has had a little bit of an overhaul, but this team last year was incredible at limiting their opponents 168.5 passing yards per game. Now, I understand, again, this is kind of a new defense, but I do believe that they're going to be able to stifle the Razorbacks. This one's come down, so I like that reverse line movement. When the sharp guys agree with me, it makes me feel much better. I'm excited to see what this Cincinnati team can do. As you know, next year they're going to be in the Big 12. And I think we see this team do what they've been doing the last few years, and that is winning football games, not giving up a ton of yards. And that's the key to really beating Arkansas here, especially in Fayetteville. Is Fayetteville going to be rocking? Absolutely. But I'm going to tell you this right now. I think this team is already looking past Cincinnati, and that is not what you want to do.
So I want to ask you about the Bearcats coming into the 2022 season. We just talked about Pitt a moment ago as a team that lost a lot in the offseason and maybe not quite as good as they were last year. Cincinnati sent 9 players to the NFL, which is the most ever from a group of 5 schools. 9 players drafted the NFL, including a quarterback who was pretty good in the preseason. Do those losses concern you? Is Fickell really in a situation now where the Bearcats are reloading instead of rebuilding? He might be. I wouldn't be shocked if he is. But to me, that's like a leap of faith I just wasn't ready to make yet on the Cincinnati.
For sure, Teddy. Listen, the only teams that truly reload, I don't even think the Ohio States and Clemsons of the world reload. I think the only team that gets to reload is Alabama. Do I think Luke Fickell is an excellent coach? Do I love what I'm seeing from him in Cincinnati? Yes. Do I think they are a scrappy team who expects to win? Yes, because we've now seen it here in like the last 3 years, right? And especially as a dog, 9-0 as a dog of 3 to 9 points in season openers. I love this team. I think that I actually am scared how much I like this. I know I had a guy named Ozzy tweet me earlier and told me Arkansas by 3 scores, and his bio said King of Arkansas or Arkansas King or something funny, and that's what I chimed back with. I do believe that this is going to be a knockout, dragout team. Absolutely, there's some home field advantage in Fayetteville, but man, this Bearcats team has the opportunity to not only position themselves as a Power 5 school in the next 12 months, obviously along with Houston and a couple other schools, but I think it starts here. And the culture that Luke Fickell has set in Cincinnati has been nothing short of incredible.
Kelly Stewart, everyone. Kelly will be joining us every Thursday during the football season. Outstanding stuff, Kel. Thanks for being here. 2 minutes left. We got over 100 likes. Let's go, Daniel, son. All right, I got to be quick today, guys. I just want to I got a college football bet to give out on this video and a baseball play for tonight. But I do want to make mention, if you guys are thinking about playing my NFL season, here's what you should expect. Firstly, I killed it last year in the NFL. All my numbers are up on the Prez website over at WagerTalk.com. Check it out. But basically, if you're playing my NFL season, you're going to get a bet on every single game. That'll also come with a paragraph of analysis and trends and stats on every game. I will also include parlays that I'm making, teasers that I'm making. I'll give you survivor information. So basically, all my NFL will be a big, huge report, 3 to 5 plays that I'm betting every week, and then I will rate all the rest of the plays along the way. So it's going to weather reports, everything. I mean, everything you could possibly need for the NFL, I will be providing you on a weekly basis. As for your plays, college football this week, look, Clemson at one time was minus 20.5. They're now minus 22.5. Obviously, 21, an important number in college football. I don't care. This is 35-3 written all over it. I love this Clemson team this year. I think they're going to find some offense. I'm taking Clemson minus 22.5 as well tonight in baseball. We're going with the Milwaukee Brewers on the money line. Teddy, my brother, hard stop, 12:45. Take us home.
That's going to wrap it for the Thursday edition of Wager Talk Today. I want to thank Kelly Stewart. I want to thank Adam Trigger and Rob Veno for joining us on the show. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to spend with us. Please download the Wager Talk TV app, brand new and absolutely free, and be sure to come back and hang out with us again tomorrow, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon for you back east. Between now and then, enjoy the games, and good luck tonight betting college football.
Isn't it refreshing when free really means free? Whether you're a WagerTalk customer, a Sports Memo customer, a fan of our videos, or even if you're not a customer at all, everyone can get this week's edition of Gold Sheet for free. Enjoy write-ups and stat logs on every college football game this week to see the new and improved Gold Sheet layout for this season. To download, log into Gold Sheet's website using username free@goldsheet.com and the password free. No coupon, phone number, or email address is required. It's that simple. Come see why Gold Sheet has been this country's premier football betting newsletter for over 6 decades.